You're listening to Rebels Radio, the online home of Slough Town match commentaries, brought to you by the worldwide internet football community, myfootballclub.co.uk.
And welcome to Rebels Radio. I'm here with the other joint manager, perhaps some might say the better joint manager, John Underwood, and we're here reflecting on Tuesday night's game against Egham and looking forward to the visit of St Ives on Saturday. So good evening, John, how are you?
Good evening, very good, thanks.
Excellent. You've had time now to reflect on Tuesday, what do you make of it?
Obviously, disappointing result, not a good night for us. The main thing in our minds now is obviously the injury to Adam Fowler, the captain, which was a big blow. It came at a bad time in the game for us, and we're still waiting to see how serious that is. I think at very best case, he could be out for 3 weeks. Worst case, the season. So that's obviously kind of dominating our thoughts at the minute. But obviously the result was disappointing for us, and the performance as well. Having played so well on Saturday, we were nowhere near at those levels on Tuesday, and I think Egham deserved to win, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, from watching and being there, Egham seemed to start in a way that we normally start against teams, you know, kind of being very active, getting very much in their faces. Was there anything different about the lads in the changing room before the game? Was there anything, you know, that you could pick up before the game that you thought, hang on, this might happen?
No, sometimes you do. Sometimes you know, in the warm-up, you sense that maybe we're not quite on it. I mean, you need to work a bit harder to get them up for it, but that wasn't the case Tuesday. The confidence has been high. We're on the back of 6 wins, so I'm not saying we didn't expect it to be we did expect it to be a tough game, but didn't expect us to struggle like we did, to be honest. And you're right, they did exactly what we try to do to teams. They were very positive. They played on the front foot. They put us under a lot of pressure, and we weren't quite at the races first half. We were quite pleased that it was 0-0 at half time. I mean, we did have a couple of chances first half, as did they, but on performance, you know, to get in at 0-0, we thought we might have got away with it a little bit, and that we could, if we could up it second half, we'd go on and we could win the game. But obviously that didn't happen.
There was a few changes in your starting 11. Obviously, in came Scott Harris and Darren Wheeler. What were the reasons and decisions behind that?
We kind of already had decided before Saturday's game that we planned to mix up a little bit going forward. We've kind of kept the same back four and same midfield two for the last, for a number of games now. We've had a strong core to the side. We've got a lot of attacking options, and we just felt we have been kind of tweaking it slightly just to keep it fresh. I mean, Darren Wheeler was playing up until a couple of games ago, and we brought Jake in, and Jake's been, he came to us having recovered from a knee op, so he's not 100% at the moment. He probably needs a good pre-season under his belt, and we always thought Saturday, Tuesday would be too much for him. So we decided to play him Saturday, and then we brought Darren in fresh on Tuesday. And up front, we've got really good competition for places up there. Scott Harris has been playing really well, but Johnny's been kind of chomping at the bit to get a start. He's been doing well off the bench, so we started him Saturday and he scored, and then we brought Scott Harris back in Tuesday. So I don't think it was anything like that really upset us. They were pretty much like for like changes. When you've got a strong squad, you need to try and keep as many as you can involved, and that was all that was really.
Yeah. So you were happy to get to half time 0-0. What did you say to the boys at half time?
We obviously recognised the dangers that they had. They had a lot of pace, particularly wide right. The right winger was causing us a few problems. One of their centre forwards was kind of dropping off into the hole and causing us a few problems. So we talked about how we might deal with that. We also talked about using the ball better when we had it. I felt we rushed things when we were on the ball first half and didn't keep possession as well as we can. And they were the sort of things we focused on at half time. We went out with belief second half, but I think it was within 10 minutes, found ourselves 2-0 down.
Yeah, so that must have been a bit of a shock. What did you think, or what would you apportion any blame to the goals? Was it just the way the ball was bouncing?
Well, we had a great chance. Eddie had a great chance just before they scored. I thought Eddie's chance was probably easier than the one they scored to go one up. And Eddie's been on great form, and you kind of expect him to take every chance. He'd got 6 in 3 games before Tuesday, but he missed a good chance, and then they've gone up the other end, won a corner, a bit of a scramble, and it's gone in. And that's football. That sometimes happens. And before we could get ourselves back in the game, they got another one. They caught us on the break from a free kick of ours. They broke away. Ryan Parsons, who's been fantastic for us, seemed to have won the ball off the right winger and then lost it again, and all of a sudden a great finish, to be fair, and it's 2-0. So,
but great attitude from the boys to come back. They really showed, they got it back to 2-1,
yeah.
And then from there, it looked like the momentum was with you.
Yeah, I mean, we always say when we're 2-0 up, it can be a funny score, because if it goes to 2-1, the game changes, and we made a few changes in the side. We went very very bold. We made 3 changes early in the second half and got back to 2-1, and we were confident at that point we'd go on and maybe get a point, maybe even win the game, because the momentum shifted our way. But I think it probably showed it wasn't really our night. We went to 3-4-3. We took off a centre back, got the goal, and then within 5 minutes, the only centre back we've got left on the pitch, the captain Adam Fowler, gets injured, and you're down to 10 men, and then we had to reshuffle the team, and it took a bit of sting out of us, really. I mean, we did keep having a go, and we were still pushing for that equaliser, and then we got caught at the back, but that was a chance we had to take. It didn't matter whether we lost 4-0. At 2-0 we were prepared to go for it, and that's the way we approach it. I mean, even draws at the minute aren't great for us, so we're very much all about looking to pick up 3 points. So it was a necessary gamble, and it didn't come off for us. No,
but I take it from what you're saying there, you'd be quite happy to do it again in the same situation.
We'd do the same on Saturday. Let's hope we're not in that position, but no, we're not about holding on for draws at the minute. We need to win games, and that's how bold we're going to be. And sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. And obviously, it wasn't going to be our night on Tuesday. Whatever we tried didn't seem to work for us. So
did you see a turning point as the Fowler injury? Because as you say, it was kind of pivotal as you were coming back 2-1, getting players in the box, creating chances, and then Fowler got injured. What lots has been talked about on the incident on the chat boards and the forums, and I know there was a lot of anger at the ref on the day. What was your opinion?
From where we were, it was a foul, but I don't think the guy tried to injure him. I think Fowler got in front of him. I think he kind of barged into it. It was clumsy, but it was it's the sort of tackle or challenge you see 10 times in a game. Fowler was just unlucky that his foot was planted in the ground and his body weight went the other way, and it caused his knee to buckle. So there were worse tackles than that in the game.
And were you happy with the refereeing? I know I would think on at least 3 or 4 occasions there seemed to be an opportunity for you guys to play advantage, and I think perhaps on the video, if people have seen it, you'll certainly seem to be venting your frustration at the referee.
Yeah, we did
for not allowing play to advance, to pull back Warren Harris a couple of times. I know, but there was a lot of conversation and a lot of kind of displeasure, I think, around the ground. Was the referee an element?
I think the ref caused some frustration. I think for both teams at times. I think it wasn't a factor in the result. We're not going to use that as an excuse. It wasn't like he there was a ridiculous sending off or a penalty or anything like that directly changed the game. I thought. I mean, I actually like the guy. We've had him before. I like him as a person. He's very approachable. I told him at half time that I thought he made a mistake there was a big advantage where Warren, we thought, was going to get clear, and they pulled him back. He admitted he made a mistake, and then I felt he did the same thing twice in the second half. So, wasn't overly happy with his performance, but I say it didn't, and spoke to him again afterwards and gave him feedback in the right way when we'd calmed down a little bit. But it wasn't his fault that we lost the game, and so
Ed Smith picked up another booking again. Is that a concern for you?
Yeah, Ed's on 9 now, and one more, and if he gets one more this month, he'll miss 2 games, and he's obviously an important player. It's the one side of his game that we're not happy with. He's got a great number of goals. He's playing ever so well. If you look at the 9 bookings he's picked up, I'd probably say 7 or 8 were avoidable, and we talked to him about it. It's something in his nature that, in the heat of the battle, sometimes he does something stupid, and no matter how many times you tell him, unfortunately, he does keep doing it. And but what do you do when you've got a player who scores the goals he does, who's important? You don't leave him out. We just need to keep reminding him how important it is he doesn't get suspended. We were hoping he'd stick on 8 for a while and give him that little cushion, but he's on 9 now, and he's gonna. Hopefully he'll learn. Hopefully he'll not get booked again. But I can't guarantee that.
Slough's very own Luis Suarez or something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, enough of reflection on the Tuesday night performance. Let's look forward. Let's look to Saturday. Firstly, I think a question on everyone's mind is kind of what's the squad position in terms of injuries, potentially bringing in new people. Where are we at?
We've had to bring in a centre half guy. He's been on the bench the last couple of games. He's kind of 90% there, but he's coming back from a knee injury where there's a bit of a confidence issue with him in going into a tackle, and I think he's probably a week away from being right. We need he probably needs another week of training to convince himself maybe that he's going to be all right. I think if we were to throw him in, we risk losing him for the season if he has a bad challenge, and so that's not something we're prepared to do. Particularly, there's a chance that Fowler might be out for the season. We can't afford to lose him as well. So we've signed a lad called Dan Simtim, who's from Met Police, Ryman Premier League side. We know him. We don't know him well personally, but we've seen him a lot down the last few years. He's played 38 games for them this season, so he's been a regular for them, but he's just found himself on the bench the last few weeks. We spoke to Jim Cooper, their manager, who we know well, and he's very kindly let us have him for Saturday, maybe a bit longer if we need him for a bit longer. So yeah, he's a very good quality player to be able to bring in, and he'll come in alongside Woo straight into the team on Saturday. So we're very thankful for that, and pleased to have someone of that quality to come into the side.
Yeah, Bened's still a few weeks away. What's the situation with Ben? I know lots of people don't kind of know. They've seen him around, but he's not in the squad.
It's an odd one. He's seen a chiropractor, an osteopath, and our physio, and we think they've finally found what the problem is. It's a bit of a bizarre one, and I don't know all the details, so I won't go into it. But we think hopefully in a couple of weeks' time he'll be able to return to the squad. So yeah, Ben's out. But other than that, we've had a few other knocks. Jamie McClurg's been struggling with a bit of a foot injury. Ryan Parsons calf. Jake Parsons with his knee. But we're going to have a very light training session tonight, and I don't expect any other problems for Saturday. I think the squad will just be the same as it's been with the new signing Dan in for Adam Fowler.
Okay. Wrapping up, there's some other games midweek as well, where obviously Royston got a vital win, and Daventry did very well to go to Aylesbury United last night and win 2-0. Again, heaping pressure on it. Where is your focus now? Again, is it still the old adage, one game at a time? Are you looking beyond that? You both have said you've had a certain amount of lives. One of those lives has now gone. Where do we go? Yeah,
we talked about 4 lives. We've lost 1. It might be 3 left. It might be 2. You just don't know what's going to happen in the other games. You can spend hours kind of looking at fixtures and tables and worrying about and trying to work out what you need to do. And I don't think that's a healthy thing to do, because you can't affect anyone else. So it is a bit of a cliche, but we're trying to look at every game as it comes, and we're not getting ahead of ourselves. And Saturday's massive for us now, and we need to get back to winning ways. We're pretty confident if we can only lose 2 or 3 more lives that we'll get ourselves in the playoffs, but we can't be sure. We go into every game, as I said earlier, trying to win it. We're not looking to draw games, we're looking to try and win games. And where we finish is where we'll deserve to finish, and we hope it's in that top 5. Because I think if we get in that top 5, we'll have done so on a decent second half of the season, decent run of form,
with some momentum,
with a bit of momentum, and that's what can make a big difference. Sometimes a team that's just missed out on winning the league go into the playoffs dreading them a little bit, and I think if we get in them, we'll be delighted to be in them, and I think we'll have as good a chance as anyone.
Brilliant. Some other big games coming up at the weekend as well. You've got Rugby versus Dunstable, Northwood versus Royston. So again, people taking points off one another. It's going to be interesting to see how this turns out. And as you say, there's always going to be people taking points off one another. Yeah. Who's your tip for the title?
I think it's we were thinking Rugby. Obviously, we want it to be us, but that's going to be very tough now. I think Daventry's win last night shows that they're not easing up. You know, they haven't dropped many points recently, and they've got obviously the tough task of a lot of games to fit in, and it just depends how they cope with that, how their squad copes with that. But if I had to put money on it, yeah, I'd say between, which I obviously won't do, you're not allowed to do, but if I had to, probably Rugby or Daventry have got to be the favourites. I think Dunstable have had a tough time recently, so I think it's between those two. And then it's a number of teams battling for the other 3 playoff spots. So, there's some big games going on, and teams are going to continue to drop points. We just need to make sure we don't, and we get back on a winning run on Saturday.
Good. Finally, on a personal note, you've been doing a lot of training recently, working hard, and completed the Reading half marathon on Sunday. What time did you do?
I did it in 1 hour 56.
And were you in full health?
No, I managed to pull my calf slightly in the first mile, which is a bit embarrassing. I've been training for months with no problems, and then on Sunday had a bit of a calf problem, and so hobbled through it a little bit. So I was quite pleased with the time I got. I'm due to be running the Fleet half marathon as well, which is a week on Sunday. So I'm first in the queue at training to see our physio Kev, and he's trying to get me fit for that. So fingers crossed I will be.
And you doing that in a good cause?
Yeah, I'm doing that for leukemia and lymphoma research. Friend of ours had problems with, had this illness going back a year or so ago, and so it's one that we kind of got to know quite well. As with all these types of causes, it's a very worthy cause, and obviously very much hope I'm fit to run in it. My wife's doing it as well for the same cause, so we're looking to raise some money for that charity.
Brilliant, and I think we're going to tweet that out later and make it public so that if people want to go to your Just Giving page and do that, they can do.
Well, that'd be brilliant, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time, John. Any message for any of those fans out there, or anything that you've got to say?
Just keep getting behind us. The support's been really good recently. I think we're all disappointed with Tuesday. I think everyone knows football well enough to know when you win 6 on the bounce, you're going to have a bad night sooner or later, and let's hope that was ours. And hopefully we get a good crowd there, get behind us on Saturday, and get back on a winning run. And
finally, where are Spurs going to finish in the league?
5th, unfortunately.
Okay, moving on. Never mind. Thanks very much for your time, Anders, and I'll wish you well, and say goodbye to all the fans.
Cheers. Thanks, John.
See you later.
Bye.
And welcome to Rebels Radio. I'm here with the other joint manager, perhaps some might say the better joint manager.